But 13, 14 years is a big thing. Like you have been working for 13, 14 years and managing a lot of funds. So like why you haven't thought about like going into that or at this moment right now? So do you have any second thought that apart from this, I should join that or it's completely no?
No, because see now, because of the spiritual framework that I've taken and the work I've done on myself and this deeper
Right.
meditation, I realize, right, first of all, I want to tell your audience there's like two models that you can live by, like, that I learned through this whole process. One of them
Right.
is the one we all tend to live, which is
To make sure to watch this podcast till the end. And with a very, very warm welcome, I want to invite Shatya Shah with us because, and sir, I'm very thankful that you came to this podcast. Thank you so much.
yeah. Thank you for inviting me, Chetan. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir, for being in our podcast. And today, like as you are a coach in health and wellness, as well as you train people in meditation. So, we are going to start the conversation from your journey as like how you came from the Wall Street to this industry. What was the reason?
Ooh, that's a very deep question because,
Right.
when I left college, I was a very like energetic, Boolean person. I was really into, investing in things like early on before other people got caught on to the theme. And, this is the area I would wanted to go into. So I ended up starting my journey actually at a company called Goldman Sachs, which you may have heard of as a huge investment bank. And somehow I got a job there. And, the environment that I was in was very high pressure, dynamic things going on. The markets are changing day to day. Some political event is happening in the Middle East, like now, or something is going on with commodity prices, and there are all these interesting traders and managers who are trading these anomalies. And my job, when I first got in, I was on a team that was taking money from investors,
Yeah.
and I had millions of dollars that we needed to allocate out to different funds and and companies, and create a return with a certain level of volatility, and so we had that job. So it's a lot of responsibility. And over time, I got to, meet with so many smart people that were much smarter than me. I got to travel across the world. I was investing in places like Asia. I went to Japan, Hong Kong, London, and various places around the United States. And, I was part of an investment committee that was making all these decisions. And I was young, and I was growing, my responsibilities were growing, and my job title was changing. I was an analyst, and I went to an associate, then I became vice president of a group, and things were starting to do well. All of a sudden, I was getting a great salary. Then the bonuses were starting to happen, right? So it's like all of
What
this
was the
stuff.
age of yours when you get into the like? What was the
I
age when you
was
got your first job?
I was probably in Wall Street. I would say probably like 23, 24.
Okay, and from from how many years you were into that culture?
I would say, I mean, total probably like 13 or 14 years. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. But the main time when I was doing all this work and managing money and all that was from like 2000 to like 2007, 2008.
yeah,
And I mean, this is when everything in my life was like going very well. I was in a relationship, and that was starting to burgeon. My job title was growing, my bonuses, salary, my network around the world was growing, right? And so you can start to imagine that you're part of this bubble that is starting to like get bigger and bigger, and you're like in
right,
this little unique space,
right.
and you start to feel really good about yourself. You start to feel everything is happening really
Right.
good, right? So that's kind of what was going on for me during that period.
So like in that period of time, like you were enjoying the stuff that you were doing, or like deep inside you were not
I
enjoying that?
was. I was enjoying it, but at the same time, I knew, I don't know, there was something pulling me that maybe this isn't like realistic. Like maybe this isn't, maybe it can't last forever. But I didn't want to think about that because I was enjoying it so much
Yeah,
that I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, forget about that. I'm going to keep going. I want to travel. I want to, then I started living in Manhattan. I had an apartment. So the whole thing was sort of like, building on itself.
So you were having a great thing. Like it's a
Yeah.
dream thing that most of the people dream to work in the Wall Street and do the things that you were doing that time. So like what was the reason that you have left all those things? Because I have
Yeah.
met a lot of people who are into like the stock market.
Yeah.
They can't even sleep, or all the time
Yeah.
in their head the investments, funds, and all those things going on, and you have totally left that part. So how is that possible? Like,
So this is a good question, Jathan. So this is what happened. 2008 happened. And I don't know
mm,
if you're familiar with what happened here in 2008, but there was a deep financial crisis
crashes,
that
yeah,
took place in the mortgage market, and all these big banks like Lehman and Bear Stearns went under.
yeah.
And I was walking into my firm every day, watching different banks starting to like plunge, get, starting to sell off or starting to go under, or bankruptcies happening. And all of a sudden, our firm, where I was at that time, the assets under management started to come down as people got scared and they were pulling their money out of our
Mm.
funds, right? And what do you think happens then? As assets shrink, but the costs remain the same, people are going to have to get let go. And I
Mm.
remember that day specifically, September 15th, 2008. I walk into a room, the CFO of the company is sitting right next to me, my manager is sitting right next to him. He looks into my eyes and he says, Satyan, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to terminate your employment as of today. And at that moment, I couldn't hear whatever he was going to say after that. Yeah, you're going to get paid for the next few months. We'll give you a pack. I wasn't even thinking that. The moment he said that, I felt everything I'd worked till at that point, I was lost. I lost my job. I lost my title. I lost my salary. I lost my bonus. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford to live where I'm living anymore. So all of this stuff was like coming down on me at that same moment. And for the next few days and months, I was lost. I didn't know what I was going to do. And at
But
the
you
same
have
time,
option.
well,
Yeah.
remember, the whole financial industry is shrinking at the same time. So it's not like there's other opportunities for me, right?
Mm.
So imagine what's going on in my head. For these 7, 8 years, I've held on to these things which are outside of me to create my value, right? My job, my money, my bonuses, my stock market, all that stuff is outside of me. And so this is when I had to dig deeper and go deep within myself for the next year or two. And this is when things started to change as I went on a spiritual journey slowly. I was also in a relationship. I didn't know how I was going to, mention the fact I lost my job there, right? So what was going to happen there? So everything from all dimensions was coming down on me at that time. That's why I kind of went through this next spiritual shift. So if you want to ask me about that, I can
Yeah.
chat more, or if you have
Yeah.
anything
So
else.
like then you shifted to like another apartment, and like what happens next? Like how many years of break you have taken, and what you have done at that particular time, because it is very
Yeah.
depressing moment.
hmm It was a difficult time. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't working for like a year or two. Thankfully, in this country, you can apply for what's called unemployment benefits. So the government pays you a certain amount of money just to like, pay your bills. So that I had enough to stay where I was staying for the next 2 years. But I knew somehow there was something deeper going on, a shift within me, because I had put so much value on those things outside of me, right? Like all the things like my job and my title, my money as part of my value. And then the whole thing just like a balloon just like popped and like everything just fell down. So I knew that even though I was going to have to get another job again in the financial world, because that's all I had, my background, right? I knew I was going to have to live my life differently from a different perspective. And that's when I went on a more of a spiritual journey. During that time, after 2 years, I did end up getting another job at an investment bank, but it was a little bit different. I spent another 3-4 years there. And then, I'd gotten married, and then I'd gone on a more deeper spiritual quest at that time. And that's when I kind of landed, on this route to a more, deeper path. And that's when I shifted out of
Mm.
there. I still invest, I still do all those things. I can still do that, but it's from a different mindset. And we can get into that if you want later.
Yeah. So, like, as you were into the Wall Street in the past, then when you were doing all those jobs, at that particular time, do you ever think about spirituality, or have you ever like meditated, or no?
Not during those 7-8 years, because I was in my own bubble and I loved what
Yeah.
because that's what happens. It's a very deceptive feeling,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
because these wrong, what I call wrong identifications. We identify with our job as being who we are. We identify with others think of us. We identify with our network. All those things are wrong identities that we latch onto. And what's
Mm.
deceptive about it is that it makes you feel good. It makes you feel on a high when things are
Right.
going well, right? So you don't think about, oh, why should I meditate?
Right.
There's no need. There's no need. It's only when things go the other
Yeah.
direction
Right.
that life brings this to your life.
But 13, 14 years is a big thing. Like, you have been working for 13, 14 years and managing a lot of funds. So like, you have been done investments as well and savings as well for your future self. So
Right.
like, you have done a good saving at that time. And when the economy is back, or when you are back from the break that you have taken, you have option to like go with your expertise, because you have a good expertise and experience in that particular industry. So like, why you haven't thought about like going into that, or at this moment right now? So do you have any second thought that apart from this I should join that, or it's completely no?
No, because see now, because of the spiritual framework that I've taken and the work I've done on myself and the deeper
Right.
meditation, I realize, right? First of all, I want to tell your audience there's like two models that you can live by, right? That I learned through this whole process. One of them
Right.
is the one we all tend to live, which is you're nothing. You
Mm-hmm.
come into this world and you become something based on what you accumulate through your life, whether it's your degrees and your education and the money you get and all that stuff that we're taught from a young age from our parents and from society, right? And that becomes your life and that becomes who you are. And that's how I
Hmm.
was living. But
Right.
because now I've got on a spiritual path, you can take another model, which is a healthier model, which is I'm already absolutely complete, absolutely perfect. I'm an immortal, eternal being of light that has come into this body as a visitor, will go through an experience of life. All these things will happen to me in this life, but then that experience will finish as the body dies, and that experiencer will still be complete and perfect. And everything in this world is extra, and an
Hmm.
extra experience on top of who you already are, right? So,
Right.
which is a healthier way of thinking, which is a healthier way of living, right? And so, this is why if I go back to Wall Street now, I don't know if that's the environment I want to be in order to cultivate this spiritual personality, right? I read that and I want to help people on a more one-on-one basis. I want to help people. I don't want to just help rich people get rich. It's like a different mentality. I want to use this now spiritual framework and health and wellness to like help people one on one and really make changes in their life. And that's kind of why I wouldn't go back. Doesn't mean I don't invest still. I still do that. I still invest in startups. I invest in health and wellness people. I still, and invested in other areas, but I do it personally. I don't have the pressure of some company
Right.
saying, you have to do this, you have to do it this way. So that's kind of what I was trying to say. You understand what I'm trying to say?
100%, 100%. I
Yeah.
understand the entire thing that you told us, and this is beautiful. Like, it's a total mind shift. Like,
Yeah.
uh, and it is very amazing that like how a person can like change the entire thing. And right now, you are a full-time coach. You are helping people uh, with the help of like meditation and multiple spiritual practices. So, if you can tell us more about like how are you helping people right now, so you can please tell us about that as well.
Yeah, and so during these last few years, I went back to sort of school through this group called IIN, Institute of Integrative Nutrition and Health, and then I studied, and I then took the board exam, so I became a board certified coach. And it had several disciplines. It has a nutritional component, a lifestyle component, a meditative component, and so you
Yeah.
gain a broad array of skills as a coach. But my real deep interest is now in this deeper, understanding life's principles and how you should be living your life. And I have that experience of having gone down the depths of, difficulty and coming out. So I want to use that experience along with the skills I've got to help people come out of certain bad habits or unhealthy behavior. And so, I'm working with somebody right now who's a full-time doctor in the infectious disease area, but has no time at all to herself,
Right.
dealing with a lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure from her own husband. And so there's a lot of mixed issues. And so what my job is to break down what her highest priority is in life. What does she want to change now?
Mm,
Right. And then break that down further into, okay, what is a little step we can take this week? What's something you can accomplish? And then after I meet them week by week is to then hold them accountable. Like, were you able to do this? Were you able to substitute sugar and eat something more healthy that day? Or whatever it may be. But somebody needs a little hand holding. Somebody needs to be held accountable, given some little bit of knowledge,
right.
give them a safe space so they can be honest and vulnerable, and then give them the time to practice these new behaviors. And so I have a coaching program over a 6-month period because I think it takes time to first come out of something negative, learn something new, and then to practice that so that the training wheels can come off and then they can ride the bicycle. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right. And in today's date, there is lot of anxiety, depression, and lots of things are going on because totally a person is totally like his entire life is his work that he is doing. Like, he's not
Yeah.
focused on anything else in his own life, personal life, health, and like all those things. Because like nowadays, most of the people are totally dependent on the work, and like most of the time they give it to the work, and then they face anxiety and all those things. So you are doing a great job by helping them out. So can you please tell us, like, the people who are watching this video, they are into some jobs or they are doing something for their like living. So like, can you share some of the strategies with our audience as well, that if they are feeling depressed or if they are feeling anxiety, so what should they do?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult question because, from a spiritual perspective, you have to first learn this new mindset that I sort of, described
Right,
earlier, right? That you
right.
already are a complete and whole and immortal, eternal being. And so that requires practice. That muscle has been very weakened in our consciousness, right? So we think everything outside of us is what's going to make us happy. If Jathan is really
Mm,
nice to me, I'll be happy. If Jathan is mean to me, I'll be depressed, right? So we have to first take power away from everything outside of you and bring it back inside,
Yeah.
knowing that you're in full control of what you feel and what you experience. And that requires a practice and a lifestyle shift of like getting up in the morning, having a meditative routine, feeding your soul, all of that nectar early in the morning. They call this area, this time, Brahma Muhurt, right? When
Yeah.
there's like early in the morning before the sunrise. Because why? Like for me, I'll just give you an example. When I was in Wall Street, I used to get up, I used to stay up till 11, 12, midnight, doing things, going out. And then in the morning, get up right in time before and rush into work by 7 in the morning. Now my
Yeah.
lifestyle has completely shifted. I sleep by 9:30. I get up by 4 in the morning every day automatically without any alarm. It took time though, and it took some effort to shift. It's like an Olympic athlete, right? Like they're not at the Olympics like right away and then, just showing up. They must have sacrificed. They must have made some shifts. So
Right.
similarly, I know I'm not directly answering your question, but the
Yeah.
point is you have to create a practice for yourself to nurture yourself so that when you start to like take in all that good energy, when things outside of you don't go right, you have a basis for like being steady. And so you can feel like you're at the depths of the ocean while you're watching the waves go up and down. You can be an
Mm.
observer rather than getting what do you call it, entrenched into the daily activity. So
Right.
it depends on person by person, but I would start them out with some sort of a create some sort of a meditative practice in the morning, and then I do something called traffic control. Every hour on the hour I stop for a minute on my phone and just remember who I am, where I came from, who I truly am, and then go back to work again. And so, there are different techniques that you
Different
can
techniques for different
utilize.
people. Right,
Yeah.
right, right. So, first of all, we have to like understand that who I am, and then we have to like, uh, there are multiple ways to understand yourself and work
Right.
on that.
And nurture it and continue to, because everything in your world is telling you something different, or you're this, but you need some space to like make sure you get the right input and the right energy coming to you, right? It's like when you're physically working out, right? Like you need to like exercise those muscles in order to then use them.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything is energy. We have to understand that how we are going to use that energy and how we can utilize that in our work as well
Yeah.
as in our own health and in our own deep inside that, how we can utilize that. And apart
Yeah.
from that, as you told us that meditation plays a very big role in your life, like you are meditating regularly. So if a beginner who is watching this video, if they want to like visualize things, if they want to start meditating, so what you will recommend them?
Um, it's I would recommend that they first create like a process for themselves to just be in a place where they have a quiet place where that they can go every day, that's sort of like a sanctuary in their home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a non-negotiable time in the morning every day to just sit there and just even gather their thoughts and just sit quietly and just like observe their thoughts as like a first step, like kind of like clouds going through the sky. And
Yeah.
then I would teach them certain principles about, again, who they are these beautiful, complete, perfect, immortal beings of light, right? And just keep like remembering what that is, even though other thoughts are coming. I have to eat this for breakfast, this is going to happen at work, my boss is going to, no, just okay, that's fine, just let those thoughts pass like clouds in the sky and come back, and just keep
Mm-hmm.
coming back. And that's how you strengthen it, and that's how you like cultivate that. I'll give you an example. Like for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
I've been doing a pretty strict practice for the last
uh,
5-6 years, and I had an incident at work, maybe a few years ago, where we had a huge Japanese client, and who was, potentially going to take money away from us because of whatever our returns weren't good. And I presented some report to them, and I didn't have our latest return numbers in there because I was not allowed to put it in because our compliance department said I can't put it in. So anyway, the CEO of our company was there, and the meeting went fine. But then afterwards, he came back, the
Yeah.
CEO. He took the presentation I did and ripped it in half and threw it against the wall in front of
Uh,
everybody. And I was
uh,
there. And he's like, why weren't our numbers presented to show how good we are? And can you imagine what that must feel, right? I'm like the young guy in the room, and like everyone's like looking at you. But
yeah.
because of this practice, I didn't let it affect me. I was like, okay, this will also pass. It's not a big deal. I know internally I did the right thing. But normally, under normal circumstances, you get anxious, you get angry, you get, why is this guy doing this to me? How can this happen? Am I going to lose my job? All that stuff. But because I've been practicing, those thoughts didn't come. And I was
Mm,
okay. It was fine.
yeah.
So it's, you build it up, and it's going to be all right. You can get it. Anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah, 100%. By being spiritual, we can understand our emotions as well. Like,
Right.
we can understand that everything is just a time and nothing is permanent. Everything is just a time. It will
Temporary.
go on. This will
Right.
temporary. It will go on,
Right.
because most of the time our emotions are more than us. Like, they are controlling us. Our emotions, our mind is controlling us
Right.
rather than
Right.
we are controlling our emotion. So if we can
Exactly.
control our emotion, we can understand that what we love to do and what is good for us and what not. This will change the entire game. So,
Right.
like, amazing, Satya. Like, you are doing amazing job to like empower a lot of people, help them in their personal life and issues. Can you tell me the five or four best thing, like, now how is your life different from the life that you were living in your past, and now
God.
what are the four things that you love the most about the things that you are doing right now? What is the biggest changes that you have feel
Mm.
right now by?
Let me first preface it by saying what my life was like, right? Like, like it was, I used to go out a lot, I used to sleep, like I said, like late, 10, 11 o'clock. My
Yeah.
diet was off, I was eating things outside all the time. I was always a vegetarian, but I used to eat a lot of outside food. I was drinking a little bit here and there because of social events and going out. And I didn't sleep that much, and I was a little bit overweight at that time, right?
Hmm.
Um, and now, life is so much different because, I'm in a much better place. I have a lot more energy. I go to sleep very early. I get up by 4 a.m. I have a meditation practice. I have tools I can use now and utilize throughout the day to deal with external situations.
Yeah.
Um, I see everybody as part of my family. Anybody I meet is somebody who's there to help teach me something from a karmic space. I know that each one of them is like a soul in a body, and each one has their own journey to take. Like all
Right.
this different perspective that I didn't have before. Before I would just react to people. I wanted things a certain way, and I would get upset if it didn't happen that way. And
Hmm.
so now life has like shifted because I have a bigger perspective on how I see things. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I cook all my own food now. Even I cook for my wife, so
Wow.
it's like, so like a lot of changes at the physical level, at the spiritual level, emotional level have changed. And it's a work in progress. I'm not saying I'm perfect, obviously not, but I'm going in the right direction. And now it's like, can I utilize that to help other people move forward?
Yeah. So if we are into this path, the way we look at things changes. Like, before we
Yeah,
were just reacting on the things directly, now we are
right.
just viewing the things from a higher level, and then we are reacting on those things, so
Correct.
we get more control on ourselves. So this is amazing. Like, thank you so much, like Satya, for sharing all your like experiences and your journey and all the things. So thank you so much for your valuable time. This podcast was amazing.
Sure.
And most of the people who are watching this podcast, like if you want to connect with Satya, just go to the link in the description. I'm going to share all the links of the social media. So should I
Uh,
share the link of your social media, or what will be the best thing I can do
Probably
if
you
the
can
people
use
want
my
to
web.
connect with you?
You can use my website, so if they want to connect with me or contact me, they can do that through there, or they can follow me on, on LinkedIn. Probably is the most best.
Okay, so I'm going to share the LinkedIn profile and the website as well. Thank you so much for your time. This was amazing meeting you.
All right, you too, Chetan. Thanks for your time, and I appreciate the invitation.